All right. Yeah, man. So I guess I'll just get started here with you.
Yeah, let's do
So
it.
what sorry. So what made you decide to come up with the name Darkhorse MMA?
Oh, that's an easy one. Just from watching Joe Rogan's podcast and even Brendan Schaub's Below the Belt, that's a term thrown around a lot that they throw around a lot with regards to mixed martial arts, just to referring to like a guy that not a lot of people may know, but has a lot of potential. So, and then I just love the name. So, and one day I looked up the name. I've always wanted to start a mixed martial arts page. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I'm like, this is perfect name. Why not? So let's do it.
Right on. Sorry, just give me a second here.
Yeah, man, no
Trying
worries.
to screw around with the lighting here, but like, do I look really white right now?
It's a little white.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure this out a little bit. It's not really working out for me too much here. Okay. I don't know. I think this might be. The thing is, if I turn off my. So basically, the light in my room, I had to get it fixed. I'm waiting for it to come in, so I'm using like lamps. So I think that's
Yeah,
what's really
yeah,
screwing up my the lighting here. So sorry about that.
yeah. You don't gotta apologize to me, man.
um, yeah. So sorry you were going on about like yeah. So that basically the Dark Horse. That's about like what is that pretty much about? I'm sorry, I was listening, but I
No,
wasn't. Like,
no. So basically it's just a term that Joe Rogan and a bunch of MMA guys they throw around to describe a fighter in a certain division that is not many people may know about, but has a lot of potential and a lot of upside to be a future champ. So I kind of just love the definition of that, and I kind of related to that a little bit. So I was like, it's a perfect name for my page. So why not?
oh, right on.
Mm-hmm.
So, what made you decide to start making the page?
I want to say probably maybe 2 or 3 weeks into when this quarantine situation happened. So I was like, especially not commuting to the gym to train anymore. So especially like after work, I got a lot of extra time on my hands. So I was like, why not? Why not pursue something?
Oh, okay. So, like, are you just doing it as a hobby? Do you think like if you get enough following, you might get like, how like if you have so many like followers on
Yeah.
Instagram, you can kind of get some like stuff like people offer you things. Are you open to that or?
Oh, that's definitely why I'm doing this.
Okay.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
make I'm trying to wake up and talk about mixed martial arts as a job and get paid for it. That's definitely something I'm trying to do. I look up to Joe Rogan, that huge Spotify deal that he just got, stuff
Yes.
like that. Even Brendan Schaub, I love that. I love that kind of that mentality, that work ethics, and just gotta be consistent with it and just do a little bit every day, and see where it takes us.
Right on, man. You know what? I used to follow a page. It was called MMA World. I know they have a thing on YouTube. I don't know if you follow them.
YouTube, yeah, I
Yeah,
watch it every day.
I used to watch it all the time, and I had to stop because the music they play in the background.
Yeah,
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 it
yeah,
got stuck in my head, and I started like humming it when I'm like going for runs or when I'm working
yeah,
out at
yeah,
the
yeah.
gym. And
It's
so,
funny because I actually would watch when I first got into MMA and UFC. That was like the first. That's kind of how I got my information from. I would just watch that every day, and then in university, all my roommates would uh, make fun of me about it just because like the same that same music that was used on that page. There was this fitness guy's account that my roommates loved, Bradley Martin, and he used the same one. So they're like, "Oh, are you watching the fake Bradley Martin channel and stuff?" Give me a hard time about that. So yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that.
yeah, yeah. Well, there was that, but there was an actual Instagram page. The person kind of did the same thing that you do. They basically come up with the news about what fights coming out, and they did like but I'm not too sure if they just did strictly UFC. I think they did MMA. Like it was called MMA World, but it was totally different.
Yeah,
It wasn't associated with the YouTube channel. And the guy, he was really cool. What he did was so anytime there was like upcoming fights, so when they do the face offs, he would take the video and he would do like he'd make a short, like 30-second video, and he'd throw some cool music in when they're doing the face-offs. And I just thought he did a really good job with that. And when I showed you the page that I ran for a while, that's kind of what I did. And I got to a point where it was kind of getting tiring because there would be so many cards. It'd be one every single weekend. And with the job that, I work a couple of jobs, so it got too much, and now I'm back to doing 3 pages again. But it's not too bad because I don't feel obligated to have to like look up the news all the time.
Yeah.
Because I kind of felt like a race to the clock. Like I wanted to get the news out before anybody else would, kind of thing. Like it is competition, but yeah, that was kind of part of it, and it just became more. It felt more like a chore than enjoying them.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. If you're not enjoying it, yeah, definitely that's kind of like a cue almost.
yeah,
To
yeah,
that tiger.
absolutely for sure. Um, yeah, so I know that one of the things I wanted to talk about was Mike Perry.
I knew right when I saw you smirk, I knew that was coming up.
Yeah, so so what's your thoughts on him? So I wasn't totally sure if it was true, but what are your thoughts about him having his girlfriend in the corner? What do you make of that?
I don't know what to make of it, especially the fact that he's one of the biggest favorites on the card with his girlfriend in his corner. So that kind of is astonishing. So if anyone's a betting man that's listening to this, but whatever. It's kind of it's not surprising, but it's kind of surprising in a sense because it's his career. But he's just so brash and so out there. He's such a character in the UFC. That's kind of why, like, if even if he loses a couple more in a row, like I feel like they're still gonna keep him because he kind of reminds me of like an Artem Lobov. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like I love him. Don't get me wrong. I love him. I love everything he does. I love his fighting style. He's always exciting. His fight with Vicente Luque, that was a crazy one. But no, I pray that fight goes past the first round just to hear that the corner advice. So
Yeah, and
I just especially
that's
without
kind of what
crowd.
I want to know what's gonna happen because it's gonna be like the co-main fight. I hope that they like don't do the commercials and they kind of at least might show a little bit of the corner advice as they normally do. Um, yeah, because I really want to know what she's gonna say. She's gonna be like, "Oh, you're doing great, honey," or whatever. You
Doing
know
great.
what though? I mean, I think it's gonna be weird. But hey, I mean, sometimes like, and at the end of the day, I mean, your coaches are there and they're there to tell you what to do. But sometimes you just gotta let the fighter do what he wants to do. And to be honest, yeah, your job is to listen to your coaches, but some guys don't listen anyway. But
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
same time, you gotta wonder what Mike Perry, why would he would do that? If it's just more like because he doesn't have the money to pay his coaches, but you gotta think he's got money.
Yeah, he has fought in I want to say I know he's fought in at least one main event with Cowboys, so he's definitely making a decent amount of money, especially being in a co-main now too. So he's out there. He's a decent following on Instagram and everything like that. But
Yeah.
I know he mentioned something about just like not liking what his coaches were saying. So I don't know if that had something to do with it. I think he's just like I just want to fight for someone I care about and I love, and he was just like that's only my girlfriend right now. So I don't know, man. He's a character to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the video that you posted, there was one where he's got the camera and he's showing himself for a second, then he's showing his knuckles and they're all bloody
Yeah,
and he's all
he
cut up.
trolled. Yeah, he trolled all of us with that because that was an old video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time, but yeah, I like did my research on it afterwards, and I found out that it was actually an old video, and he was just like kind of messing with everyone. I'm like, oh my god, this guy! I can't get enough of this guy.
Yeah, he's quite the character for sure. He like when I saw the video, I wasn't even laughing because he was all cut up. I was laughing because his haircut. Like I was like the only person I can know is the freaking haircut. Like I know that he cut it himself. I get it. A lot of people have done it. I had my dad cut my own hair. Um, he came back from work and I was like, yeah, I need to get it trimmed up a little bit. I'd rather have it trimmed than just let it get long and shaggy and messy. So I had
Yeah,
it
yeah,
cut.
it's
It
just
doesn't
annoying.
look great, but I mean, his looks like I don't know. It's
His
just
like
Mike
lineup was
Perry.
like his lineup was ridiculous. It was so funny.
And that's it. It was like kind of like a bowl hair, like a bowl kind of
Yeah,
haircut.
a bowl cut, but it wasn't even a bowl cut because like it wasn't even a straight line. It was like he just looked in a mirror and kind of just guessed. It was funny. I don't
Yeah,
even think he used a mirror actually. I'm pretty sure in his caption he said like no mirrors or no nothing. So I'm pretty sure he literally just like tried to do a little fade, but I don't know.
the thing is, I mean, it works for him because he has that kind of, I don't want to say flamboyant character, but he's different and he just does weird shit. Like I was just talking to my dad
Yeah.
about him like 25 minutes ago. I told him I was doing a podcast and that was one of the things we were going to talk about.
Mhm.
And I mentioned something about how like, yeah, Mike Perry, like, I don't want to call him weird because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, obviously. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't really care if he
I
watched
think
this.
Darren Till's the only one hurting his feelings right now.
Yeah. Well, and so I just said to my dad, like, he's something different. He just does weird shit. Like the videos he makes
It's
and
out
like
there.
it's not like cringeworthy in terms of Henry Cejudo cringe. It's just
No, it's
more it's just like, what are you doing? You
just
know?
like who, like what is this guy? What is he thinking? I want to know what goes inside his head. Like it's just like unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's why I wasn't surprised if that video of him of his busted up knuckles and his forehead. That's why I thought it was real because it's like who knows, this guy like a week out of a fight probably gone to a street fight knowing him. So
Yeah.
like that's why I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because I've seen videos that he's posted. Like, I remember the one he said something about him being like, he was like 1% African or something.
Oh man,
I'm not gonna say, obviously, I'm not gonna say the
yeah,
word, but
yeah,
it's like, oh, I can legally say this now, and it's like, oh my god, dude. Like,
yeah. It's
it
just this
just,
guy's
it's not
nuts.
like I don't hate him for it. I just wrap my head. You gotta wonder what goes through his head. Like, the more he's been in the UFC, the more crazier he's gotten with stuff. Like, I remember at the beginning, he was cool. Like in the face-offs, he always got all pumped up and he'd do crazy stuff. But as a as the years went on, you see him get more and more crazy. And I wonder if it's just like, I don't want to say brain damage, but if it's a little bit of like, you're getting hit all the time. And like, if you look at Tony Ferguson, with him, like, he's kind of got that same kind of character thing going on. He does a lot of crazy stuff. At the end of the day, he's always respectful to his opponents, but you just see and you just wonder what goes through Tony Ferguson's head.
Oh yeah, he's like kicking steel pipes fresh off ACL, MCL surgery. Like he's nuts. He's just out there. They're just unique characters in mixed martial art. So
Yeah. And the thing is, like, Tony Ferguson, he backs it up. Like, I honestly, I don't know about you, but for myself, I was heartbroken when I saw him lose like that. It's like, because I think everybody saw him winning that fight, and then it was
yeah,
like he just got totally demolished. But the thing is, I don't consider like he got dominated, but he did. Like, he came forward, but he just got pieced up. Like,
he just got like Gaethje's power was just a huge factor in that fight, and I thought because Gaethje prior to that fight, he even said I got 3 rounds in me, 3 hard rounds in me. So I'm like, okay, Ferguson is the best cardio in the UFC, arguably. So I think so. I saw him gassing out, and then Gaethje likes to cover up, and then for Tony, that's like snatch city. So I thought he was gonna, snatch him down, get him in a darce or something.
yeah,
Especially because Gaethje gasses. He has a tendency to gas because he puts everything out there. But now with this like more calculated Gaethje, even in the corner, Trevor Whitman was like, take 10% off your punches because he was missing wildly because
hmm
20% has great head movement. So I was really impressed by Gaethje with his cardio most in that
yeah,
fight. Going 5 rounds with Ferguson, even pressing Ferguson, putting him in on the back step was just unbelievable. So yeah, no, it was
absolutely.
crazy.
So, like, what's your predictions for tomorrow's fights? You got Poirier and Hooker. Who do you
Mm-hmm.
got for that fight and why?
So I'm thinking, well, first of all, I love Poirier, so I'm always going to root for him. But I think he's going to win. I think he's going to get a decision because I think because it's hard to put Hooker away. He's a tough guy. His last loss was to Barbosa, and that was Barbosa got like a few liver kicks to him. Even when he was badly hurt, he was still standing up and exchanging. So I think Dustin's boxing is going to be a big factor. Even after Dustin coming off a big loss, like even to like Conor McGregor, and he went on a tear. Then when he loses a big fight, I find that he comes back even stronger. So, and there's even the stat I saw where it's like everyone that beats Paul Felder has lost their next fight. So I thought that was an interesting stat. Doesn't really mean anything. I just think it's a cool little interesting statistic out there. But
yeah,
I don't really see the smaller cage even being a crazy factor in that fight. If anything, it kind of goes against Hooker because he likes to keep his opponents on the end of his punches because I think he has a 3 or 4 inch reach advantage over Poirier, but I don't see that making that much of a difference. So I don't know. I don't see the fight going to the ground either, but I do see Poirier landing more combos and then just outpointing him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Poirier,
It's gonna be a great fight though, regardless.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting it to be. I'm expecting it to be fireworks. So we'll see. Dan Hooker, he's just one of those guys. I don't know if he's kind of one of those guys that seems to just not be able to get in that top 5. But I mean, hey, anything can happen. That's what I love about the sport is like anybody can win. But I think Poirier's his boxing is going to beat him. I got to go with Poirier. I've really liked him. Like I didn't like him. I wasn't a huge fan of him. Back in the early days when he was fighting McGregor in featherweight. Like I wasn't. I just think he let his emotions go out, and I think that's what cost him with the fight with McGregor. But ever since then, he's a totally different guy. Comes in, he's always respectful. He comes in, he takes care of business, and he did beat Gaethje as well. So, He
has a crazy resume for sure. And the thing with Hooker too, he's coming with he's in one of the hottest MMA camps right now too with Izzy and Alexander Volkanovski. Like, he's highly motivated. He's on a tear. He even finished Gilbert Burns, who's fighting Usman for the title. He has a great resume too. He has a lot of potential. So I don't know, that fight's just kind of like a coin flip almost, just because Hooker has so much potential too, right?
Yeah, he does. He does for sure. And then you got Perry and Gall.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. I don't know what to say for that one. I want to say Perry, but I don't know.
I want to say, so I have Mickey Gall winning. I think he's going to get a rear naked choke in probably the second round. I'm only saying the second round just because I want to see that corner advice so badly too.
Yeah.
But no, I think Mickey Gall gets it done. But it's either like you never know. Mike Perry has crazy power in his hands and he likes to come out strong. So, and Mickey Gall, he didn't look the best in his last fight. I think his last fight was against Diego Sanchez, if I'm not wrong. But I think he has like a record of 6-2, so he doesn't have a lot of experience, but he has a lot of talent. So I think he takes him down, gets his back, and just chokes him out in the second round. That's what I think for that fight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. So we have the huge UFC 251 card. I'm excited. I actually took vacation to have that weekend off. And,
oh no way! Smart.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's gonna be a good card. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen like a 3 championship fight card. So, and every single one of them I'm excited for. There's not like there's one main fight that you like to see, and then the rest are like no. I mean like every single one I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely.
Like with Usman and Burns, it'll be really interesting because they both train together. But the thing is, I think Usman's gonna win, and the reason why I think so is because with Burns, I'm not saying Burns has not been on a tear lately, but I think the problem is that he won the 2 fights. He dominated Tyron Woodley, and he knocked out Damian Maia. So how I look at that is, he beat up Maia, which he's gotten older, and he rightfully so. He beat.
He's He has like probably one more fight left, 2 more fights left, and he's gonna retire for sure.
Exactly. Then he dominated Tyron Woodley, and to be honest with you, Tyron Woodley did not look like the old Tyron Woodley in that fight. And I'm
No
not
way.
trying to discredit that his win from the guy. Like I think that he definitely definitely did what he did, and he dominated the guy. And he did a great job. He looked great. But the problem I have when the UFC gives people title shots, I think they need to be more careful who they're giving a title shot to. Like, of course, if you beat the number one contender in your number one contender spot, okay. I mean, you have the potential to get the title shot. But what I have a problem with is when it's the people that you beat to get to the title, if that makes any sense. So like
Yeah.
when you had Darren Till, it's kind of the same situation. He made a big gap. So he went from like number 20 ranked or something, and he beat Donald Cerrone. Rightfully so, he beat him. But also he's fighting an older Donald Cerrone, and rightfully so, he beat him. Congrats. And then he beat uh,
Thompson?
Thompson, and I don't even think he won that fight.
No, yeah. It was in
It was
Liverpool
very
too.
unconvincing. And then he went for the title, and then you see what happens.
Yeah.
And so that's the only problem I have about some of these fights that get thrown in the UFC. Like I just saw another thing that kind of happened like that. You got Cynthia Calvillo, who made a big jump and beat Jessica, which she did. I mean, no doubt.
Mm.
But I think the problem is that they give her title shot Valentina, and I got Valentina written down here. But I think Valentina, she's just freaking good, and she's gonna beat her. She's gonna beat her bad. So that's the only problem I have about these fights that they make is that they feel like, okay, someone's won a couple fights, and they're like number one or number two contender, and then they get thrown in there, and they're like, what happened to this guy or this girl? Like they're not even they didn't even look like they're in the fight. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel like there's guys like everyone's gonna have their opinion about Conor McGregor, but that being said, Conor, like he worked his way in there, and that's kind of like what you're seeing with O'Malley right now. Is like O'Malley, he's on a 3 or 4 win streak right now, and he's fighting a bunch of not the top 15 guys by any means, but he's fighting some guys, and like what's to say he wins a couple fights in the top 15? Then you can look at him and be like, okay, this guy should be getting a title shot pretty soon.
Yeah.
And like I said, it all comes down to who do you fight, who do you beat, and if you can beat these guys, like for example, excuse me, so you got the lightweight division, like one of the most stacked division. So you got Khabib, Gaethje, Ferguson, Poirier, I think, Connor, and then whoever's after him, I think is Dan Hooker. Then maybe a couple other guys after him. So if you look at that division, you would have to convince me as a fan, you would need to beat at least 2 or 3 of those guys and then get a title shot. You have to beat Tony Ferguson. If you could beat Tony Ferguson, you have a pretty good shot at Khabib. If you get what I'm trying to say. I just don't like how they just see someone win 2 fights and then they looked impressive, so now they're going to get a title shot. I don't know if I totally agree with that.
So the thing with Usman though is the Usman Burns situation is because with that whole kind of Twitter explosion with Masvidal and Dana White, Masvidal asking for more money, that kind of thing, and then Dana White just getting frustrated, like what, this guy, he's so concerned with money, he can just wait, figure that situation out, even though he just signed a contract. And then they offered it to Leon Edwards, but then with travel restrictions, he wasn't able to make it. So then the next guy was Gilbert Burns. So for that, the Gilbert Burns situation, I understand, but there is definitely like Jose Aldo. That's a perfect example. That guy should not be fighting for the bantamweight title at all. He doesn't have a win in the bantamweight division. That doesn't make sense. That's for that situation. That's a perfect example of that, because this guy, he's a legend. He definitely has GOAT status, especially in the featherweight division. Pound for pound fighter, undefeated 10 years. who knows what would have happened if McGregor didn't land that punch. Um, but it's just because he has a big name, and I definitely blame Henry for that, for even calling him out and even giving that idea life. So he even says it's his own fault. He said it on the Rogan podcast when he was on not so long ago. So, but yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like selling, it's all about making money at the end of the day for these guys.
Yeah, for sure. So how, like, I kind of went off topic here, but so who do you think is going to take that fight, Usman or Burns?
So that's going to be interesting because it's hard to say because even though Burns looked amazing in the Tyron fight, Tyron looked like the same Tyron that showed up in the Usman fight. He didn't really have anything. If he couldn't land that right hand, he doesn't. He panics. He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But then, like, you never know because Usman likes to wrestle. Burns has some of the most amazing jiu-jitsu credentials. He's active in grappling matches, so he could catch him in something. But I don't know. I for me, putting, like, if I were to put money on it, especially with Burns being the underdog, I'd probably put Burns because I think he's almost a double underdog. But it's hard to go against Usman, especially now that he's training with Gaethje. Just for the fact that he's training with Gaethje and Trevor Whitman, I have to go with Usman at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Just because of that, and the High Elevation team, they're unbelievable, a lot of potential. So I definitely am gonna go with Usman with that. Yeah, it's gonna be a great fight at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Usman. I mean, I rewatched the fight with him and Colby Covington, and I watched it again I don't know, it was on there. I was watching the face-offs actually, and then it just kind of came up underneath UFC's feed, and I watched pretty much. I kind of skipped through the video, just kind of like certain parts, and that was one incredible fight, and that's kind of and Usman and Colby really gained my respect. Like Colby, I know like the whole thing about him wearing the cheap fucking suit and the mega hat and all that stuff. I mean, I know that's all a show. I'm sure it's so obvious because I mean, like people have talked to him and said like online, like in forums, and said like, no, the guy's like the nicest guy ever. Like, yeah, you got fans talking to you, but you could still throw that act on there and be a dick. But he's he's like the nicest guy ever. He's cool with fans and all that. But like him, with that whole thing with him and Dana White when he went into the casino and all that stuff, like that was all a show. Him wearing his belts around, that's he's not like that in real life. It's just it's like what Henry Cejudo did, like when he got all crazy when he got the title and he was like kicking pillows around and doing crazy stuff like
that.
But you listen to him on Joe Rogan's podcast and like you just listen to him and a totally different guy, and he talks about he said that was all
it's all an act just to make more money, which I understand. But like, it's funny, while he was champion, I actually didn't like him. I was like, oh my god, this guy's so annoying, even though I knew it was all an act. And then just listening to him on the Rogan podcast, I'm like, oh my god, I actually fucking love this guy. So it was just kind of like funny to see it like that. And then even Colby too, it's the exact same thing. Everyone even says the only reason he even did that was because he was about to get cut, even though he was on a winning streak in the UFC, just because his style wasn't the most entertaining, with the just like more casual MMA fans that just want to see guys stand up at trade and bang kind of thing. But
yeah,
so I understand it at the end of the day, just because especially UFC is the money maker, the piggy bank. If you want to be a UFC fighter, or if you want to be an MMA fighter, perhaps, even though you're not making a lot of money at the end of the day, but that's, if you're going to be a fighter, you want to fight in the UFC, and you're going to do whatever it takes to stay in the UFC if you make it.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're seeing a lot of fighters doing that kind of stuff, like the money situation. I'll bring that up in a little bit, but kind of getting back to the UFC 251 card, you got Volkanovski and Holloway 2. I think that's gonna be another great fight. I think if Holloway doesn't make those adjustments, he's got a same result.
Yeah, no, for sure, especially with those leg kicks. Volkanovski just utilize those leg kicks. Because Holloway, he's a bigger guy. He has great movement. He switches up stances a lot. And when he was jacking up his legs, he wasn't really switching stances as much. He was more predictable. So if he doesn't, he's gotta fix that. I don't know what he's planning on doing, but I'm definitely rooting. Obviously, it's hard. It's hard. I don't know anyone that will ever root against Max, just because he's literally the nicest guy in MMA.
Yeah.
Probably behind Stephen Thompson, but it's just those adjustments, and even Alex coming out of that, the great camp that is, and like the training partners he's with. So it's interesting. I'm very curious to see how Max adjusts, but I don't know. That's a hard one. I'm gonna go with Max just because I love him. I've seen him fight live twice in Toronto, so he's a great performer. He puts on amazing fights. It's funny, when that fight was happening, I kind of looked at Alex as like another Frankie Edgar, shorter guy, likes to wrestle, but I definitely underestimated him and his power, especially, even when he was a rugby player, I think he was like 230, 240, and he's like, I don't know how tall he is, but he's not a tall guy, he's not a big guy. So he definitely carries a lot of power in his hands, but we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have the open bantamweight title fight, Jan and Aldo, as we were kind of touching on Aldo there. I think Jan's gonna get it. I'm not even gonna question how. I just know he's gonna win it.
Mm-hmm. If Aldo still had his patented leg kicks in his arsenal, which for some reason he doesn't use anymore, he probably got hurt or something. I don't know what. But I thought that was his greatest weapon, his leg kicks. He dismantled, Uriah Faber. He dismantled so many people with that weapon. And then ever since that's not a thing anymore, he doesn't look. He's still an amazing fighter. Don't get me wrong, but he's not as without his opponents having to worry about their legs getting smacked around and not being able to walk. It's easier to pick him apart. So I'm definitely going with Petr Yan. With his boxing, he's crisp on the feet.
Yeah.
Great pressure. He's tough. Definitely going with him. I also want to see him win just because I want to see him against like Sterling. That'd be a great fight.
Oh my God.
That should be the fight that's happening right now. But whatever. What are you gonna do?
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, even Sterling, like that bantamweight division is still. I'm not gonna get started with the flyweights. I mean, I got Figueiredo and Benavidez too down here, but like flyweight, okay, I don't know what to say about them. Like as a fan, I don't know what to say. I've never been a big fan of the division, but yeah, like going back to bantamweight is just on fire again. Like
one night was stacked. Sean O'Malley got Sterling, and then I think there was one more fight.
But it was he was a former champ.
Former champ.
Asansao and
Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That fight just like kind of put the bantamweight division on on the map. If it wasn't already, everyone's talking about how hot that division is, even myself included. So
yeah,
it's definitely cool to see like the smaller weight class get its respect. Especially with the bantamweight division, like Cody even proves it. Like he puts people to sleep. Sean O'Malley proves that, even though he's facing, I guess you could say, like tomato cans, as James Vick would say. But that division is definitely top three, top two most stacked divisions in the UFC for sure.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that's what I love about some of the smaller guys is they're so fast, and you're always seeing knockouts, or you're just seeing fast fighting, and it's exciting. And then we got like the two female fights on there. You got Andrade and Nama Nunes too. I don't really know how to really score that one. I mean, Andrade, if I'm going to be honest with you, I think that was really a lucky knockout. I can't imagine that she planned on throwing her on her head and knocking her out. But
Yeah.
you know, if she hadn't have done that, I think she would have lost that fight. It was pretty apparent of what was going on. But I mean, I was about to say Amanda Nunes, Nama Nunes. I mean, you got to think like, where is she going to be thinking now? Like, what? How is her? How is like? How is her? How is her thought process going to go into this fight? Is she going to be mentally ready for that? You got to wonder.
Yeah, no, for sure. For that fight, yeah, even in the first one, Rose is piecing her up on the feet. She looked amazing on the feet, and then she just to prevent her from getting takedown, she had a Kimura grip. So and then Jessica didn't care. She just threw her on her neck, and then Rose was sleeping. So Rose is definitely going to make that adjustment, of course. I think she's going to win, especially that is a 3-round fight too. So I don't know. I don't really see her finishing Jessica, because I don't think Rose has. I don't want to say the same power, because now that I think about it, I was just gonna say I don't think she has the same power as Weili Zhang, but she slept Joanna in the first round, I'm pretty sure, when they fought. So,
but I thought that was just a weight cut issue.
Yeah, no, it definitely could be. So, yeah, no, I definitely am going with Rose in that fight, just with the way she looked. Jessica didn't really have any moments in that fight other than that one takedown. But yeah, no, I'm definitely going with Rose for sure.
All right, I can go with that. Yeah, same with me. I'm going with Nama Nunes. They got I can't remember Reba's first name. It might be Amanda Ribas or something like
For
that.
sure, yeah.
Something like that. But Ribas and Van Zant. So Van Zant's coming back. I don't really know. I don't really have opinion about either fighters. I don't really like. I know Paige Van Zant. Like I know who she is. I've seen her fight, but it's been a while since I've seen her fight. And then
Yeah.
Ribas, I've seen comments like everyone's like, "Oh, Ribas is gonna piece her up." I don't know. What's your take on that?
So I'm not. It's like Paige. I don't even know when the last time she fought was, and then when she fights, she'll break her arm. I don't know why her I don't, she just always breaks her arm. It seems like in training and fights. I'm not too familiar with either fighter, but I'm just with the. And I know Paige is. I don't know how motivated she is, because she says all the time she's made more money from posting on Instagram than she has in all of her UFC fights combined, even like when she was on Dancing with the Stars. So I think with like a motivation and she's like kind of brittle, sorry to say, but the truth. So with those two factors, and then on the big stage too, again, I'm gonna go with Amanda for that one for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with Amanda as well. I think that's her first name, Amanda Ribas. I'm pretty sure. I honestly, I feel bad if it isn't, but yeah. So, yeah. Now that we kind of talked with some of the female fighters, I just want kind of like your thoughts on some of the women on the women's division in the UFC. So you got like Weili Zhang, that Chinese champ. How do you feel about her?
She's she's a killer. There's not really too much to say about her. She's
Yeah.
She came out of nowhere almost too. Everyone was almost writing her off when she fought what's her name? We were just talking about her, Jessica. When she fought Jessica and just starched her so fast. So with her, it's gonna be interesting. I would love to see that rematch with Joanna. That was one of the best fights I've ever seen.
Yes.
If it wasn't for that fight, I think that Josh Emmett and Shane Burgos fight would be fight of the year for sure. So it kind of sucks with them, but I would love to see that. I think that's the fight to make right now is that Weili Zhang Joanna one. But
yes,
depending on, and then even let's see how Rose looks in her fight against Jessica, because I know Weili wants to fight Rose. She even called her out for that.
Yeah.
So I definitely would love to see that. And then maybe if Weili wins those two big fights, she can fight Valentina. I think that'd be a crazy fight. That'd be a crazy super fight. Valentina and Whaley, because I don't see I don't see Valentina losing anytime soon with her division. Her division is
No.
I've been saying that I think she's going to beat DJ's record with just because of the fact of how like her division, how it lacks in depth and talent.
Yeah, it certainly does. Like, I don't want to discredit any of the fighters. I mean, anybody in the UFC is a killer. Anybody in the
Everyone has a
UFC,
fighter's chance or a puncher's chance.
exactly. If you're getting into the UFC, good for you. But that being said, it's like, yeah, it's like DJ when he was the champ. Um, Not to say nobody in the division can't fight or isn't good enough. He was just better than everybody else. There was
So
there
much
was
better.
DJ, and before Henry Cejudo fought him the second time, and then he went to one championship. There was DJ and everybody else, and he
Yeah.
just made people look like they have no business being in there with him, and it didn't even like he was so much different. He was just that much better. It's like Amanda Nunes, but even I'll get to her. And Valentina, I don't mean to be like biased here, but I love Valentina. She's my favorite female fighter. But with
Mm-hmm.
her, she's just you watch her and she's not just a striker. She can go on the ground and she dominates on the
Yeah.
feet. She dominates on the
Yeah.
ground, and you gotta look like how do you beat her?
It's
And I
true
think
though.
with
Like she's
Willie,
so all
with
around.
exactly, and Zhang, I think Zhang. I don't think that honestly. I don't think Zhang is that good with technique. I really don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
She's the thing with Zhang. She's just powerful for the division that she's in.
Very
She can hit.
powerful. Yeah.
Um, Now her going up to fight a bigger girl. How does that power transpire?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, power. Yeah, there's power, but can Valentina beat her? And I think Valentina could. But Zhang could beat her too. I think that would be probably be the fairest fight for anybody to make would be Zhang and Valentina right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Especially because Nunes and Valentina, they fought twice already. Even
and
though the second fight was kind of up in the air, so who really knows with that one? But definitely right now, the women's super fight is Whaley and Valentina without a doubt. And I saw Valentina and Joanna fight live in person, and
oh, that's
Joanna's a killer on the feet, and Valentina like recognized that. She just would take her down. She just would use her grappling and just maul her on the ground as well as on the feet too. So I think I could definitely see it being the same thing because I don't really know what Whaley what her ground game is like, but I know Valentina is amazing all around. So it's always going to be really hard to bet against Valentina, especially if she's going to be facing a girl that's coming up to her weight class where she's looked amazing in every single fight. So who knows with that one? But definitely Valentina all the way for sure.
yeah, yeah. I mean Valentina, she's actually I got a signed. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but I got a signed picture of her. I just got it in the mail like a month ago. I bought it. I didn't get personally signed, unfortunately, but bought it off someone on eBay and just
Mm-hmm.
had to have it. And now
Oh
I
yeah.
finally got one, and it's great. And then I have a signed glove. It's from Carla Esparza. She signed it when she kind of became the champ, so it's glove's pretty old, but still pretty cool. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. Like I wasn't like huge fan of her. I just I saw it and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll buy that. I thought it was pretty cool. Um, and then I got I don't know if you know Randa Marcos. She's from Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
in the strawweight division. But anyway, she actually personally signed something for me. I sent her something in the mail and she brought it back. Actually, I sent her
Uh-huh.
something in the mail and I think she signed the picture for me and then she sent me another it's like kind of not cardboard, but it's like cardboard paper and it has like a picture of her and she's like kind of like reaching out with a fist and it says Randa Quiet Storm Marcos on there and then she signed it for me. I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." It took
That's
a
very cool.
while
Yeah.
because what's that?
No, that's awesome. No, that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet, but what was I gonna go at? So we kind of just touched on Amanda Nunes. Um, What's your thoughts? I heard that she that possibly might retire. Do you think that she
Yeah.
deserves to retire?
Oh yeah, for sure. She's a
She's earned
GOAT.
it.
She's a GOAT. She can do whatever she wants, even though, regardless if Dana White's going to be exactly what he said, he's going to kill her if she retires. But she's beat everyone. You know, who's she going to fight? She's dominated every single one. Her only challenge was Valentina at the time, unless you want to make a third fight, which would be really hard to sell. What are you going to do? Like, she even said she wants to be a coach. She would be an amazing coach. Unless she wants to fight like Henry Cejudo and whip him around, you know?
I think everyone would want to see that.
You know what I mean? Like, who's she gonna fight?
Intergender champ here.
Intergender champ, yeah. Like,
I think that would be a fair fight.
Like, she would smack some of the male fighters around easily, for sure. With her power,
100%.
Yeah, knocked out. She's knocked out her male training partners too. You know, so just like what's left for her to do? She's cleaned out both of her divisions. She's defended both of her belts. What more does she have to do? Like, if she wants to retire, she can retire. She's been the first fighter to defend both belts at the same time. A woman's fighter, you know, she can do whatever she wants.
Well, and the thing too, you gotta understand, right? Is like, you know, her wife is trying to think of her wife's name. I have a picture of her in my head. But anyway, so her wife, obviously, she's a fighter in the strawweight division, and you know she's having a kid. So, you know, her wife is, I think she's like 34, 35. So, you know, her wife wants to have a kid, and what's to say that Amanda might want one as well? You know, so they both could have one, right? So, what's to say that she might be thinking about that too? You know, her wife might have a kid, and then what's to say, hey, you know, maybe a year down the road we want to have another one. How about, you know, Amanda might like to carry one, so, you know, maybe she might be thinking about that too. And you know what the thing is, she could set up to have a coaching job, a coaching gig for sure. She could do that on the side, you know, and she's got the money to retire right now, so. She's more than set, and I mean, what's to say that her wife Nina Ansaroff could still fight after as well if she decides not to retire after. So, you know, and she's not too bad of a fighter herself. So,
yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things going for her past UFC. So I think should it make sense that she retires? I think that's more of her personal choice. As fans, I don't think fans want to see her retire. I mean, she's dominant. But I think we've seen enough from her. What do you want? She took out a bunch of former champs. I mean, she took out Ronda Rousey. She took out geez, I'm have so many blanks here.
She's taking out everyone.
Yeah, she's taking out everybody. Anybody that you think would pose a threat to her, she's taking them out. And it's like, what is she? I mean, and the thing is, and also another thing you got to remember, she just dominated Felicia Spencer, which I don't even think they should have made that fight. No disrespect to Felicia Spencer, but that fight was not fair. It wasn't fair to watch.
That fight was assault. She should have got charged after that fight because it was an assault. It's just like, because you know, even the women's featherweight division was built for first to begin with. It was Cyborg, and then
Cyborg. That's what I was trying
to Cyborg. So that's why Dana was pissed off, because he was talking to like Sean and the other matchmaker, I forget his name, and they're like, okay, let's build this division around her. Let's get that talent. And then now she's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about retiring. There's not really much for me to do anymore. But I think, you know, if anything, if she's not going to retire, I think she should just take a year off, you know, just let the divisions, you know, kind of form out, get a solid number one contender, you know, because there's you know, a new contender can arise that's a killer. You never know, because the sport's evolving so much. So, you never know what's going to happen in like 6 months to a year. So, if anything, she should, you know, take some time off. You know, be with her wife. You know, be with her when she has a child. So, that's what I think. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens even.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with her doing that. I wouldn't have a problem with her doing that. She's done well. She's done everything that Dana White's asked her to do. She fights whoever he asks her to fight.
Mm.
Um, so, and the cool thing is like she's a cool person. Like she's not. I mean, I've seen her a little bit when with her and Valentina, but that's just in the heat of the moment. But she's always been respectful. She's always she's all around. She's just a cool person, and I think like she's done everything. I think she's done enough. I know that's not good for Dana White, but when is Dana White ever happy about any fighter? He's
Yeah,
always
exactly.
he's always upset about something that someone does. But I get it. They got to make money, and that's just business, right?
Hmm. Exactly.
But I mean, and you got like all these fighters. So I guess with Amanda potentially retiring and then closing the featherweight division, would that just mean that Felicia Spencer has to drop down to uh, bantamweight? I mean, because with her, she's a natural featherweight, so you got to wonder how much weight would she have to cut to bantamweight, or is that going to be
True.
an issue for her? Um, so either they say, "Well, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do for you if you can't make that weight," and she has to go somewhere else. Like that's not fair on her. But you know what? At the end of the day, Amanda, she's gonna do what she wants, and I know Dana doesn't want her to probably leave, but at the end of the day, what else can you ask from her?
It's
Like
true. And it's funny because there's literally no one in the women's featherweight division that I'm on the UFC rankings right now, and it's literally just a picture of Amanda Nunes. There's not even a number one ranked contender. So it's just like I don't know. Like at the end of the day, it's business. I kind of they should know. What are they going to do? Have Felicia Spencer fight some no name fighter and for the interim champ or for the vacant title, and then not sell any fights. Probably open up the prelims as a title fight. So like just like
yeah,
like what's gonna happen with that? It's not gonna make them
yeah.
any money.
Well, and you gotta feel bad for
Oh
Felicia
yeah,
Spencer.
absolutely.
She not
So
only
tough.
did she get her ass whooped in the fight, but now it's like there's talks that she might not even get that title regardless. So, and I don't think that feels good to even get gifted a title, or to get you don't even beat the champ to get the title. You just okay, well she retired now. It's my turn to have the belt. Like, I don't think that would feel too good on her. So, if she can't make the weight to go to bantamweight, I mean, what do they do? They say, oh, "I'm sorry, you have to go somewhere else." Like that's not fair on her. I mean, I know they wouldn't want to do that to her, but it is what it is. Like, and it's
I
not
mean,
just her, but Megan Anderson. You got a couple of these other
yeah,
fighters
Megan
that,
Anderson too. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Dana White was about to cut the whole flyweight men's division. So, how many fighters would that have like cost a job? So it's just like, what are you gonna do? It's a hard position, but if there's no depth in the division, there's no like what's flyweight without Valentina, without these like dominant champs, it's not as exciting.
Mhm.
Without these like it's just I don't know. There's not too much you can do if you're not making money, because especially you have to pay the champions more money and give them, uh, you know, with this whenever you have a belt, you get paid more no matter what. So Dana White, he's all about money. That's why all these fighters are going crazy right now with their fighter pay. So I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I mean, right now, I kind of get it. I mean, they're relying on their pay-per-view buys. I mean, there's no one in the crowds. But even at that, they're still making so much money off
Yeah, yeah.
the UFC store and merchandise and everything. So I don't see any reason why they can't pay the guys and the men and women more. But um, yeah, so I got a couple other like upcoming like fights. You got Figueiredo. I know I told you that I was gonna come up to this. So
Mhm.
you got the men's flyweight. You got Figueiredo and Benavidez too. Um, I'm not totally excited, but I kind of am because I kind of like Figueiredo. He's kind of cool. He's a guy that I could see being a champ. But what are your thoughts on the fight?
Honestly, Figueiredo is probably he's easily my favorite flyweight to watch. I remember I was just ran. I don't know which event it was, but I remember it was a flyweight fight. Usually when there's a flyweight fight, I'm like, oh man, it's just kind of just like, oh, it's not the most exciting division. Obviously, that's why Dana White was going to cut it. But I just saw it was it was like, I think they won fight of the night. I think they both got bonuses. And Figueiredo, his combo, his power, his like relentlessness. He was so exciting. I'm like, oh my god, this is a flyweight division. Even UFC posted afterwards, kind of like mocking everyone, making fun of flyweights. There's like a picture of him just KOing whatever that opponent was. But him against Joseph, I feel bad for Joseph. He's had so many opportunities to win the UFC gold. It always comes up too short. The Figueiredo fight, last one, he gets headbutted. He's cut open. He wipes his eye, then he just eats whatever hand it was, and just gets slept. So it sucks. But I honestly think Figueiredo is going to take him out again.
Yes.
He has crazy power for a flyweight division.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see that. But I think like if something doesn't happen where there's not much going on the flyweight, it's sad to see it, but like they might have to cut the division because
Yeah.
I mean you look at it. So they got the Figueiredo and Benavidez 2 fight. They don't even have it on pay-per-view. They have it on a fight night, and you got to think like that you got to feel bad for those guys because it's like, around what? I'm not good enough for pay-per-view. What's up? Like.
I know. Crazy.
It's not their fault. They're just guys that want to fight. But I get it. Like you got to understand from the UFC's point. Like if they can't sell it on a pay per view, I mean, what can they do?
Yeah, like even when TJ fought Henry for the flyweight belt, that headlined the first ESPN fight night. That wasn't even on pay per view, and it's TJ Dillashaw is one of the best bantamweights ever, and Henry, who at the time was the champ. So it's kind of crazy the fact that they're going to do that for a fight night, but that's just how it is. That's kind of the only way to sell that division in a way. Just like no one's really going to buy pay-per-view, so might as well kind of market it with the free fights and hopefully get some more fans, out of like an exciting fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you got some other exciting fights. I don't think it's a main event, but Yair Rodriguez and Zabit Magomed.
Yeah, that is. I actually just played my buddy in UFC 3 in that with those guys. Those guys they're video game characters, but they're striking. That I think that's targeted as a main event because if that's not a main event for a fight night, I don't know what the UFC is saying. So I don't know what Dana White should probably retire if that's not a main event. But like that's a striking dream. Like, that's something kind of I've heard about for like probably the past year or so. With Zabit on the rise too, that's just a crazy featherweight fight. Those guys, they have Zabit. The only thing with Zabit is just his cardio. You don't really know. Him against Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar is pushing the pace on him in the fourth and fifth round, especially the fifth round, because Zabit just gassed out. So it's going to be interesting, especially with Yair, who has pretty good cardio. So I don't know how that would go, but I know that fight would be extremely exciting just with their kicks, their striking arsenal. It's probably not going to go to the ground unless he beats just his little his trip that he does, and even banana split Yair. So it's just like that fight would be crazy for sure.
Yeah, that's just I can only imagine, right? I can only imagine right now. Like I don't know if it's gonna be hard for Zabit to watch the style of Yair, but is it gonna be hard for Yair to have that to have to fight the style of Zabit? So it's kind of like it's not one guy having a crazy style against a guy that just has a standard style. You got two crazy like it's like having like you said, video game players just going at it, like throwing different cool moves in there.
That fight's a video game.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like I just don't think Zabit's gonna lose, but I don't know. I mean, that's just that's one wild fight.
It's a crazy fight because Yair against the Korean Zombie with 1 second left, he throws that crazy upwards elbow, and knocks him out unconscious in the 5th round. So it's just like you don't know what's gonna happen here. Loves throwing those crazy kicks, and Zabit does the exact same. So just like who knows what's gonna happen with that.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, so we'll have to see how that shapes out. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zabit, um, he's cool and he's got that it factor. So does Zabit, or so does Yer. But I think Zabit has a little bit more of that crisp and a little bit more of that X factor going with him. I think if he could get him to the ground, I think Yer would have a problem. And that's kind of where I'm kind of looking at when I look at that fight. Yes, the ground or the stand up is just you never know. I think that one's gonna be nuts if it stays on the feet. But if it's
Mm-hmm.
Zabit is smart, he's gonna try to do one of those trips, or he's gonna try to take him down, and he's gonna submit him. If anything, if Zabit wins, it's gonna be a submission. But if Yer wins, it's gonna be by decision. Or did I say decision? Sorry. If he if he if Zabit, geez, they have crazy names. If Zabit wins, it's gonna be by submission. But if
Yeah,
Yer wins, it's gonna either be by decision or it's gonna be like some kind of weird, crazy knockout. It's gonna be like, what
especially when
the
Zabit's
fuck did I just
gassed or
see?
something.
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
be like,
no, for
what the
sure.
fuck just happened? I thought Zabit was gonna win this fight. This ain't supposed to happen. What the, like, so,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
But
that's gonna
you
be,
do make a good point about Yair on the mat because he got his ass kicked when he fought Frankie Edgar because
yes,
that it was a doctor stoppage. So that is a good point to bring up because Yair's ground game is not really high level, I guess you could say.
yeah.
And to beat, with he pulled off that crazy submission, that
It was
banana
a
split,
it was a banana
whatever
split. I think
that
they
banana
call it.
split. Yeah. So he does have a. If you can pull that off in a UFC fight, you got a ground game. And these guys from Dagestan, they're all around.
Yeah,
Uh,
those Dagestan guys are just nuts. Once Khabib kind of got that name out there, you saw a lot of his buddies coming over. Like I think he's got his cousin, the other Nurmagomedov, and then you got Zabit, and then you got Makayev, I think his last name is. You got a couple of these other Russian guys that are coming in, and these Dagestan guys, and it's a totally new game. It's and these guys aren't just guys are just they're in there because Khabib is in there. I mean, I think without Khabib, I don't know if they would have gone in the UFC. But I mean, these guys are in the UFC and they're not just they're losing some fight. No, like these guys are a real deal too. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
nice to kind of see that exposure to other fighters,
Mhm.
and seeing like, yeah, these guys from Dagestan, they're not fucking around. Like these guys will kick your ass,
Yeah,
and
they're running in
they'll kick your
mountains.
ass everywhere.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. They got some crazy training regimens. They live in fucking caves on a mountain, and could be swimming in the freezing river upstream. It's just like it doesn't make any sense what these guys are doing. They're animals.
And like if they had to fight a bear, they probably freaking would.
Yeah, and they probably win. That's what's crazy. So just like what like what these guys are next level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just want to kind of speed up here. So, and then you got Miocic and Cormier 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fully acceptable that Cormier got that fight because he's probably got one more fight before he retires.
Yep.
And part of that, I think I can see how that he made that deal with the UFC. There's a controversy whether they should have given it to Ngannou, but they know Ngannou is not going anywhere, so they look at it as like, okay, well, we don't want to really, we think it makes sense that it's his last fight. He won the first one, he lost the second one. We'll make
Exactly. Yep.
sure it's gonna be a big money fight. It's his last fight. Let him fight for the
Yep.
title. If he wins, great, but we know he's gonna retire anyway. So, we know that Francis Ngannou or whoever is gonna fight next. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it was a right move.
No, yeah, for sure. They're 1-1. You have to make that trilogy fight, especially
Yeah.
even Miocic. Like, who knows if he's gonna retire after this fight? With his eye injury. Just like I don't think he wants to be like Michael Bisping with one eye. It's a crazy sport. It's a crazy sport. One punch can do that to you. One kick can do that to you. So it's just like, is it really worth it? So who knows with that one? But I think DC's just gonna demolish Stipe in that fight.
I mean, Stipe, oh my God, he had the best transition. Like he had the best adjustment in
Yes.
in that fight. He just went in and
Yeah.
just started body shot, just kept giving the guy the body shots. The thing
Exact
is,
same.
what's crazy is like Cormier wouldn't block him. Like, dude, what are you doing? They just kept letting him
Yeah.
hitting him in the
He,
liver shots. I'm like, what the
he
hell are
even
you doing?
said the thing with DC, because just because it's his last fight too, in the rematch, he even said he wasn't listening to his coaches because like he described it as like when you're punching and you're landing these punches, it feels so good you don't want to stop. And then he didn't stop, and then Stipe just kept landing that same liver shot, and then it eventually overwhelmed him and led to him getting finished. So I think he's going to be so disciplined in this fight, and he's just going to ragdoll Stipe because he was winning that fight. In my opinion, he was winning that fight before that happened. So
Absolutely.
I think he's gonna be crazy disciplined because he it would be very tough for him to retire. He would have to retire, but it'd be harder for him to retire not being disciplined, not sticking to his coach's game plan, and losing like that. But if he loses sticking to his coach's game plan and being disciplined, then it's more acceptable than just just kind of going with the flow and doing your own thing and just listening to yourself. I mean, selfish.
It certainly does. I still think Daniel Cormier is the best heavyweight UFC heavyweight fighter of all time. Like I know that he wasn't, obviously he didn't have like 10 title defenses, but I mean he did fight in that division before. Besides him, like Stipe did really well too. Don't get me wrong. But with Daniel Cormier though, I mean like he just, he beat Stipe and then he defended his title, which, I mean, against the
Derek
Black
Lewis.
Beast. Honestly, so when that fight was gonna happen, I looked down to the comments. I'm like, I gotta look at the comments. Every comment's like, I want to see Black Beast just demolish him. Everyone thought
That'd
he
be
was gonna land
hilarious.
that one big punch on him, and Cormier
Yeah,
did well. I was like, geez. So
Cormier's taking a shot from Rumble and survived, and then ended up finishing.
yeah,
So just like I wouldn't be surprised if he would be able to take a shot from Lewis, and then that fight played out exactly how you would expect it to. Lewis doesn't have a ground game. DC lives on the ground with his wrestling credentials, and he just tossed him on the ground, choked him out, and then what are you gonna do? That's how you got to beat Derek.
yeah, absolutely. Um, but yeah, like we'll see what happens. I mean, men's heavyweights looking pretty good too, so we'll see what happens. I mean,
Yeah,
who's to say that it could be Stipe's last fight too? I mean, he's a firefighter. Maybe he might say, "I'm done. I want to just be a full-time firefighter," and that's okay. That shakes things up in the heavyweight division, and that gives the opportunity for Francis to fight. And uh, I don't know who's after him. Maybe Junior Dos Santos, or I'm trying to think who else would be fighting.
Curtis
Derek
Blades, but
Curtis
who
Blades, yeah.
you can't really give Nagano and Blades or Blades that Nagano fight.
Because
Maybe
I
even
think
like
it'd
a
be
Derek
the
Lewis.
same result.
Yeah,
But
it's like Derek Lewis number 4 after Blades at number 3, and then like JDS at 5. So who knows with that.
yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. So I wanted your opinion about this. So what's your thoughts about? So what do you think is harder, BJJ fighters or ground game fighters transitioning into MMA, or strikers transitioning into MMA?
That's a good question. It's that's an interesting situation because strikers with no ground game will get can get dismantled by high level BJJ guys, and vice versa with BJJ guys with no striking experience can get pieced up easily if the striker just maintains distance. I think I would probably say it's maybe harder for a striker because we've seen boxers get into that. I don't remember his name. He fought uh, what's his name? The old school heavyweight, whatever. He was in the Expendables, whatever that guy's name is.
Oh, Randy Couture.
Randy Couture. He fought that one boxing guy, and Randy Couture just took him down and choked him out. It's just like
Yeah.
I think because jiu-jitsu grappling, Gaethje, a lot of wrestlers and a lot of grapplers are champions right now. And I feel like it's easier to take down someone who has no experience in grappling compared to striking with someone who has experience in grappling.
Yeah.
I definitely think that it's better for a grappler to get into MMA than just a striker with no MMA experience. Because if that striker runs into a grappler with no experience, he's just going to get taken down and going to get smashed. Because if you have no experience on the mat, it's a whole nother world and it's so complicated. But if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, if you're a wrestler, just keep your hands up, keep moving, wait for your opportunity, shoot when the guy's coming in. You got to just time it perfectly. So I think I'm definitely going to lean towards a grappler, a jiu-jitsu guy. But I'm also a little biased because I'm a jiu-jitsu guy myself. So,
okay.
So I definitely do think the grappler for sure in that a little argument there.
So you're not biased at all, are you?
No. It's just from my own personal experience too. It's just
right.
Even just like it's hard. It's because it's so much more complicated. You just gotta, as long as you're smart and you're not reckless and you're not leaving your chin hanging in the air, I think you have a better chance at winning a fight compared to a striker. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I tend to agree with you. I think it's easier for ground fighters, and like you said it best, we've seen a lot of ground fighters either be champions or being very successful in the UFC and MMA in general. And I think the thing is with the ground game is that you can learn your stand-up. And if you best example is Khabib. I mean, he's not, I wouldn't say BJJ guy, but he's definitely a great ground wrestler. I mean, arguably the best in the UFC. You just look at him and you just see how he controls the legs and what he does the same kind of takedowns. He usually, I think what he does, he takes the one leg and then he takes you down in front against the cage, and then as it's a really good move. He'll take the one leg, he has the two legs together and he wraps the one underneath and wraps the other one and then holds them, and then he just starts hitting you. Like, what can you do?
If you don't know what to do in that situation, it's just like you're helpless.
A lot of fighters can't. They have a hard time with that. Even BJJ guys that have that BJJ experience, they don't know what to do. Because a lot of times when you're on your back like that, you need your legs. Not to say you can't do anything, but as me, like I train in most aspects right now. I not anything official. I get together with guys and we train together. We all have karate backgrounds. Like I have my black belt in Shotokan. But I train a little bit BJJ, and yeah, like there's times where I'm on my back and I have to use my leg. You need your legs. And that's what makes him so dangerous. He knows what to do. So I mean, in retrospective, yeah, I think ground fighters have an easier time because like Khabib, you look at him, he's not the best boxer on the feet. But that being said, he's learned as he's gone, and the more fights that he's been in, the more he's learned with his hands, and he's good enough to go on with his hands. But when it comes to the ground game, he learns how to, and it's not even about striking, it's about how he works his way into you, and then he takes you down, and then it's Khabib time. And I think, and that's why I tend to agree with you, because as long as the guys know enough stand up and they can get you down to the ground and they can submit you, that's where it becomes dangerous. When guys are like black belt Brazilian black belt jiu-jitsu guys that can just take you down and just get you in those spots and just make it look so easy, that's where it gets dangerous.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we're not just talking about standard BJJ matches. We're talking about guys that can submit you and they're hitting you at the same time. It's a totally different ball game. So yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. And so, obviously Dana White said a while back, and maybe it was like this week, he mentioned something about how the UFC is an opportunity versus career. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's kind of a crazy statement to say,
Yeah.
because I don't know what being a UFC fighter, I don't know what the opportunity is afterwards if you're a UFC fighter. I don't know if that's like kind of like your personal brand thing. I don't know what he meant by that. I don't know if it's definitely has
Well,
something to do with the page. You're not getting paid anything, right?
yeah. Well, I know. I think he was responding to like the pay, with like John Jones, getting upset about it. Jorge Masvidal,
Yeah, yeah.
who made a big deal about it, and now he basically bit the bullet, and he just signed another contract. So I don't know, but
I know I know that definitely upset a lot of fighters, a lot of people in the MMA community, because it's just like, okay, if it's an opportunity, what's the opportunity for? Like just to get punched in the face, and hopefully win a belt, and not do anything with it. Like I don't know what that kind of crazy statement is. It's just like I don't even know what to make of it.
yeah, I think. Yeah, I think the idea is that Dan White's trying to say is like, you don't just get in the UFC because we like you, or I think it is an opportunity. Like if they give you an opportunity,
Yeah,
yes. Um, but the thing is, yeah, I mean, it is a career though for some of these guys that sign multiple contracts. I think it is a career for them. It is like they're not. What else are they doing for work? It is a career for
yeah,
them,
for sure.
especially if they're in the UFC for a long time. That's your UFC, your MMA career. Um, is it an opportunity to get in? See, that's where I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't know what exactly how he applied it. I'm assuming it
What's the
was for the
opportunity?
money issue, but
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. Like, is it to make like a successful like fighting podcast after? Like, what's the opportunity? I really just don't understand what it is.
yeah,
I just don't really I'm not really too clear on what he meant by that. But,
Yeah, I know Brandon Schaub on his podcast Below the Belt. I know he mentioned something about that, about he was kind of wondering like, oh, what is he trying to mean by that?
mhm.
But yeah, there the thing is too, you find with Dana White, I personally, and if we want to talk about the money issue, I don't think it's right. I know Sean O'Malley talked about it. I think you might post it on your page. He talked
Mhm.
about how like the Reebok was making like $1 million off of him, but yet he got like three or 4 grand or something like that. I'm thinking
Yeah,
that doesn't seem right to me. That's not right. Um, and it's like, okay, I get it that the Reebok, they're making their money, understandable. It's a business, just business. But if it's just business, you got to think like, if the guy's making 3 grand out of you making 1 million, supposedly this is what Sean O'Malley said. But
mhm.
if they're making $1 million off of Sean and he's getting 3 grand out of it, what is like? You got to think like, okay, I understand if it was just an average fighter. Okay, well that's just how it is. But we're talking about a guy that's a potential future superstar, and you're gonna pay him 3 grand out of that. Come on, you can make a little bit more than you can give him. Like I can understand maybe 30 grand, 40 grand. Okay, I think that's fair enough. But 3 grand, like
I
it's
think
really it's
yeah.
hard
It's
to
just
get your head around that.
it's they. If anything, if they're not getting paid, from for their show and then for their win. If they're not getting paid as much for that, okay, whatever. But for merchandise, they should definitely get a bigger piece of the pie because that's their own personal brand. You know what I mean? That's something I was kind of shocked at. I thought I didn't know they were getting like scammed out of that. So it's kind of surprising.
Well,
Um,
that's like stores selling a band T-shirts and band merchandise, and then they keep like 95% of the pot, and you're getting that 5%. It's like, hey, I'm the band that we are the ones that make the music and we work hard. I get it. You're the one doing the work for us, so you're gonna get your cut, but you don't get 95% of the cut.
yeah,
Like,
like they definitely the UFC should be getting the majority of it because if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't have that personal brand. But they should the fighters themselves, especially like the Sean O'Malley's, like these guys with huge upsides, they should be getting way bigger portions of the money that is made from their merchandise.
yeah, and the thing is, like, I understand that probably it's more like, well, if you don't like it, you got to fight somewhere else kind of thing. But the thing is, these guys don't have anywhere
That's
else
the
to
thing.
go.
It's just like
So
Brendan
they don't.
Schaub said that perfectly.
I don't think that they personally care right now because they know, well, these guys aren't going to go anywhere. No other fighting organizations are going on. Like, you don't have Bellator, you don't have one championship. I don't think. Some of these bigger MMA rings, um, but it is what it is, and it's easier to say like, oh, some of the upcoming fighters, like guys are in like the top 30 or whatever, they're okay with getting what they want. But what's going to happen when they potentially get to the top 15 and they start getting recognized as, hey, I could be a potential champ. Where's my money? And that's what's going to happen is these guys are going to expect, oh, I'm on like a 6-7 winning streak and I'm signing a new contract and I'm still getting peanuts. So it's definitely like, I think the UFC kind of screwed themselves when they did the Reebok deal. No hate
Mm-hmm.
against the UFC, but that's just an observation, and it's unfortunate what they did. And I hope that they learn from this, because at least before, when the fighters had their own deal, they had multiple sponsorships, and they're getting sometimes 20-30 grand each from every
Yeah.
sponsor. So
Yeah.
like, they worked their way, that they had their money that way. um don't get me wrong, I like the Reebok look. I think it looks cool with the shorts and everything, but I don't know. It's unfortunate for the fighters, because even the guys that are making, say Conor McGregor makes a couple million from his fight. Okay, it's nothing for him to give away to some of his coaches,
Mm-hmm.
but not everyone is getting money like Conor McGregor, or some of the other top dogs in the sport. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why you've seen where you got like DJ that went to one championship and he's getting paid a lot more and he's perfectly happy there. Which
Mm-hmm.
I will say right now, that was the most stupidest deals I've ever seen, trading him for Ben Askren. Like, now you're like, no, Ben Askren had what, 2-3 fights, and then he was like, okay, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And they got DJ, who's kicking ass over in one championship. I'm like, you should have kept him in UFC, even if he truly lost the fight against Cejudo, which right now I'm gonna say he didn't. I don't think he lost that
Mm-hmm.
fight. But say if he lost, they could have set up that third fight. It could have been a bigger fight, but it is what it is. So
But then also at like the same time, you can even make the argument that without Ben Askren, there wouldn't be like the star of Jorge Masvidal right now.
that is
Without
true.
that flying knee that
Oh,
went viral. Like is Masvidal that same? Does he get that same pop? Like that's something that I've kind of thought about. So, but then also, even like just going back to that fighter pay situation, is is even if Bellator won, all these other, PFL, all these other MMA organizations, even if they're having fights right now, just like, are you ever gonna get together with like your family, your friends, and watch a Bellator fight? Are you gonna buy that pay-per-view? Like a Conor McGregor fight? It's just like, okay, you don't like where you're getting paid in the UFC. Okay, leave. Where are you gonna go? You're gonna get paid even less. So it's just like, what are you gonna
yeah,
do?
and that's it.
The shitty
Chris
situation.
Cyborg, she's got a good gig going on in Bellator. Good for her.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, these fighters aren't going to leave the UFC. It is probably the best MMA organization in the world. Um, so as much as these fighters aren't happy, you're going to continue going where you're at. It's like having a job that you like what you do, but maybe the pay's not great, or you don't like your boss or whatever. But it's kind